Alright, welcome back. So you just acquired your new film camera, a shiny old Canon AE1 or a Nikon FM3, or you just went all out buying a Leica or maybe even a medium format camera like the Mamiya 7 or the Hasselblad, and you feel pretty gangster shooting your first rolls of film and you get the photos back from the lab and everything is fucked. Well, here come 5 tips on how to get razor sharp images out of pretty much whatever film camera you own. So in the next few minutes, we will talk about an often overlooked phenomenon called perceived sharpness and expectation, as well as some of the obvious challenges like choosing the right shutter speed, aperture value, and film stock. But before we jump into this, my name is Nicholas Arnold and I have been running this channel for pretty much 2 years now. And for those of you who have just stumbled upon this channel, it would make a huge difference if you consider to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment or a like, especially if you find value in this video. Now, I think a lot of film photography beginners have a wrong idea of what film is actually capable of in terms of sharpness. Oftentimes, like myself, they come from a high-end digital camera or even a top-tier mobile phone which produces incredibly detailed and almost clinically sharp images. And now they're on an analog camera wondering what they're doing wrong. And in many cases, they aren't doing anything wrong. And that's because of a thing called perceived sharpness. Okay, so let's play a little game. I would like to show you a couple of photos that I shot using my old Hasselblad 500 CM during the past 2 years. And you're trying to find out if these photos are actually sharp or not. Okay, so this one has been shot in Barcelona. And by the way, all of these images have been part of my previous videos. So if you're interested in the story behind these, just make sure to check out the links in the description. Okay, so this one, sharp as fuck. Let's move on. Another one from Barcelona, love it. And this one has been shot on the island of Sylt in Germany. This one is from the episode I shot in Mallorca, great photo, as well as this one. Wait a minute, be honest, have you seen it? None of this shit is sharp. The people, unsharp. The doors, the trees, the freaking water. There's not a single part of the image that is sharp. And then again, it's a good photo. It's vibrant, it's got decent composition, good color separation, high contrast, and that's why your brain very likely is willing to approve it rather than questioning its sharpness. In other words, you're perceiving this photo to be sharp, while in fact, it isn't. Okay, let's try again. So this one is super sharp, isn't it? I mean, sure it is. It must be, right? Or this one, which I shot somewhere in East Germany. Very graphic and sharp, right? And what about this one? I mean, come on, incredibly sharp. So all of these look pretty sharp, right? Well, let's have a closer look at this one and you will notice that it is slightly out of focus. Look at the textures on the wall or the floor. This is a good example for a photo where I obviously decided to shoot with a super low aperture value and then misfocused because I did not take the time to set up everything properly. Did it ruin the photo? Absolutely not, because the image still has plenty of edge contrast as well as micro contrast. It just feels sharp, and this is ultimately all that matters, as perceived sharpness kinda is your friend. Okay, I know what you think. Perceived sharpness, my ass. You just want the real deal, an actually sharp image that you can share with your wife to justify the cost of your unproportionally expensive hype camera. Because as of now, all you got is your shots looking like they were taken through a fucking sandwich bag. So the reality is most blurry film photos aren't out of focus. They are just shaken. Remember the photo from Mallorca? It's blurry across the whole image. I pressed the shutter, my hand moved just a tiny bit, and boom, motion blurred. And shutter speed is something I figured to be even more crucial to shooting film compared to digital, and the significance grows with the dimension of your film type. For those of you who are new to this channel, I spent the past 48 months shooting a medium format camera, and this one is definitely even more prone to producing blurry images than a 35mm camera. But again, all of these tips apply to pretty much every type of film camera. So my personal rule of thumb is using a shutter speed at least equal to the focal length of my lens, and then double it. So for a 50mm lens, go for a 1/100th of a second or faster. More is more, especially if you're on a medium format camera, as most lenses have higher base f-stops, and in order to achieve the same depth of field, you generally tend to shoot at higher f-stops compared to 35mm. So on my Hasselblad, I avoid shooting handheld below 1/250th of a second, and the reality is I will use a tripod where I can, because this is old tech, and we all know why you started using it in the first place. It's probably because you're in the process of burning out, because your inner child is an overachiever, and that perfectionism rooted in childhood trauma is basically your inner child still trying to earn a gold star from parents who were emotionally unavailable. So you keep delivering at the highest possible level to finally feel safe and worthy, and now grown up, you're not chasing dreams, you're chasing approval from a ghost, which is excellent, because in reality you're just trying to fix a broken past by obsessively spending hours fine-tuning velocity curves in After Effects. So take your time. Don't trust your excitement. It lies. Just breathe and then shoot. Yeah, lenses matter. Some vintage glass just doesn't resolve much detail at wide open apertures, and that's fine if you like the glow, aka spherical aberration. But before you start blaming your gear, let's get one thing straight. A fast lens doesn't make you a better photographer anyway. It just makes the background blurrier in the first place. Shooting at f1.2 might feel powerful, but in most cases extremely shallow depth of field is just that, an effect, a party trick. Also, if you're using high ISO film like Portra 400 or even 800 and you're shooting in broad daylight, f1.4 is basically impossible. So make this a choice. Try aiming for sharp, crispy and printed big results by stopping down to f5.6 or f8. Again, maybe even using a tripod, because that's where most lenses hit their sweet spot. And unless you need that razor-thin focus for storytelling, you're probably just trying to blur out a trash can you didn't want to walk 3 steps to avoid. You might think slower film equals sharper image. And yeah, lower ISO films usually have finer grain, but not all slow films are made equal. Kodak Gold 200 is warm and beautiful, but it won't win any sharpness contests. And then there are vibe stocks like Lomography Color 100, very retro but zero detail. But I mean, it's fun. The colors pop, the grain is thick, but sharpness, not part of the feature list. And that's alright, not every photo needs to look like it came out of a lab microscope. But if you're chasing tack-sharp details, pores, eyelashes, leaf veins, you'll want to skip the vibe stocks and reach for the modern emulsions like Acta 100, the Ilford Delta 100, Fuji Provia, T-Max 100. That's the clinical, hyper-sharp digital stuff you might be looking for. Alright, so you did your homework, high shutter speed, stop down aperture, quality $50 film stock, Gitzo tripod, excellent conditions, and you thought you nailed focus, you really did. But then your subject's ears are sharp and their eyes are soft. And at this point, it might not be your fault anymore, it might be your gear. And it happens more often than you'd think. So if you're using a Leica, a Canon P, a Bessa, or any other kind of rangefinder camera, that tiny focus patch in the middle of your viewfinder, it has to be calibrated. Also, some lenses, especially fast ones and even the super pricey ones, have what's called focus shift. You focus wide open, but when you stop down, the plane of focus actually moves slightly. It's not super common, but if your lens is known for it, you need to compensate. So manual SLRs are most vulnerable over here, especially when you stop down after focusing wide open. And another thing that SLR shooters might know is sometimes your lens doesn't actually focus where it says it does. And this is called front or back focus. It's a calibration mismatch between your camera's autofocus sensor and your lens mechanics. And yes, even analog autofocus SLRs from the 90s can suffer from this. Pentax, Minolta, Nikon, you name it. And the solution is test, adjust, or learn to manually focus like it's 1975. Okay, so let's recap before your attention span dissolves completely. Tip number 1, perceived sharpness is real. Your brain is easily fooled. Use that. Tip number 2, blurry doesn't mean out of focus. Use a faster shutter or grow tripod legs. Tip number 3, f1.2 isn't a personality. Stop down. Life goes on. Tip number 4, not all film stocks are sharp. Some are just here to vibe. Tip number 5, sometimes it's your gear. Your camera might be gaslighting you, especially if it's Soviet. So if you found this video helpful or at least tolerable, please leave a comment or a like, maybe even subscribe. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one, where I'll be probably talking about something nobody asked for. All right, peace.
Everybody get happy. That's all I want you to do. Everybody get happy so that I can be happy too.
Now I invite you guys to try this simple but powerful exercise with me. So just take a moment and lift your right hand and just gently place that over your heart. And as you're doing that, you just want to imagine what you looked like as a small child. Picture your face, picture your innocence, and notice how small and tiny you really were. And with that clear image in mind, I invite you to say out loud to yourself, I am here for you now. I see you, I hear you, and you have always been enough. This connection you've just made is only the beginning of a lifelong relationship between you and your inner child.
Everybody get happy. That's all I want you to do. Everybody get happy so that I can be happy too.